Nick and Dave Deep Dive the Metaverse, a podcast exploring cult classics, subculture, and geek media. I'm Nick.
And I'm Dave.
And we will be your tour guides for this deep dive of Joel and Ethan Coen's 1998 noir Pastiche-Zen Coen stoner comedy, The Big Lebowski.
Interesting. I'm always impressed with these. I would have gone with black comedy, but I like that.
You know, it's a farce, actually, and I debated whether squeezing farcical in there, and I was already running a little long with the Zen Coen thing in it, so...
Yeah, this is one of those movies where the plot is less important than the complications to the plot.
Yeah, so it's heavily inspired by Raymond Chandler detective novels.
Yeah.
And Chandler said the scene the scene outweighs the plot, or the scene trumps the plot, or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. It kind of reminds me in that way of Dresden novels.
Oh, interesting.
How the scenes get kind of nuts. The plot might not be crazy, but the happenings are crazy.
Those are sort of noir detective novels, aren't they?
They're heavily inspired by that, for sure.
You know,
but with wizards and stuff.
You've been talking about those for a long time. I should get into those books at some point.
Yeah,
you and Diver Ted and other people have said positive things, and then we played a role-playing game set in that world, and so I'm pretty invested in the world now, so I should get into the books.
You should. It's worth it. So more on Big Lebowski. This movie has a few interesting distinctions. This was importantly selected by the U.S. National Film Registry in the Library of Congress, being deemed culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. Mm. And it was added to the registry. I think that's pretty cool.
Definitely.
It also has it holds the rank of the 28th, the movie with the 28th most uses of the word fuck at 281 times. And I think that's significant. That's a lot of fucks.
It doesn't feel like in this sort of HBO Max world that we're in now, it doesn't feel as significant as it probably did in 1998.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is it's just dropped casually.
Uh-huh.
It's like punctuation sometimes.
It is. I mean, it strikes me as very natural speech, but I don't know. I don't know if we copied The Big Lebowski and just started talking like that, or what.
Yeah, and this movie is really crazy because I mean, the Coen brothers are pretty legendary.
Oh, definitely.
And when it was marketed on the coattails of Fargo.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting because I really like this better than Fargo.
Man, Fargo's really good. I hadn't watched either of them in a long time, so I don't know. But Fargo is outstanding.
This might be the best Coen brothers movie, but Oh Brother, Where Art Thou and No Country for Old Men are also really high on my list.
What about Raising Arizona?
I mean, it's no Lebowski.
It's true. I don't think it's as quotable. I think it's as farcical, but not as quotable.
Yeah.
But I mean, do the Coen brothers have any turkeys at all? Like,
there's just flavors of good.
Yeah, exactly. I think people were kind of down on Hail Caesar, and sort of people were down on this movie when it came out too. And sometimes people need to mature to the level of the film, it seems like.
I don't know if that's
that the right?
Yeah, no,
I'm using mature loosely.
Yeah. They need to marinate in it for a while.
Yeah, that's maybe more accurate.
I find it really interesting that this movie has a spin-off, The Jesus Rolls.
Have you watched that?
I have not. I saw that noted and I was like, man, I'm curious now because I really like Turturro.
And Turturro wrote and directed Jesus Rolls.
Okay.
And it's the trailer looks amazing. It's got a crazy cast like John Hamm and Christopher Walken and Audrey Tautou, and it looks amazing, but it's got just terrible reviews online. Huh. It's on Showtime streaming, so I'm probably going to watch it sometime this week, probably, because it's on my mind, but I have not seen it yet. So you introduced this movie to me. That's my recollection.
Interesting.
Because I think, here, I'm going to try and imagine how this went. somehow we were talking about Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers for some reason, and you just offhandedly said that he's a nihilist, and I was like, what do you mean? And you're like, he's one of the nihilists from the Big Lebowski.
He believes in nothing.
He believes in nothing. And I was like, what? And then you're like, you haven't seen the Big Lebowski? We have to watch that. And,
well, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Dana got me into this one.
Oh, so, that makes total sense.
Yeah, because we were roommates for a while. So for sure, this is I was introduced to a lot of good movies to her.
She worked in a video store.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, what are you gonna do? You can see a lot of movies. So this one is interesting because I mean, there's so much philosophy in this movie for how light it is. In fact, there's a whole religion. Dudism has spun off of it, also known as the Church of the Latter-day Dude, and they have ordained over 600,000 dudist priests that conduct legal ceremonies and whatnot. But if you actually go, I went to the website.
I did
researching this. It's based on Taoism. It's basically just like no magic, no mysticism. It's like secular Taoism, which is really interesting, and I can very much get down with that. Yeah, and it is present in the film. I don't know that that was the Coen's intent. I think they had something more rabbinic in mind with the philosophy in it, but I think there's a sort of universality to a lot of different like spiritual systems. Yeah, I definitely think so as well. And this kind of philosophy that the dude espouses, it kind of gets to the heart of all of those like chill and let chill.
Yeah, totally. Living in the moment. There's also that book that Jeff Bridges co-wrote, the Dude and the Zen Master.
I haven't read that.
Yeah, I have not either, and it's not on audiobook, or I would have jammed that out before we got here. But yeah, the dude kind of can fit into a lot of spiritual practices, and I like that. And Walter is the other half of the yin and yang there.
Yeah. I love Walter. He's such a great character.
Walter's amazing.
And I always cover the box office stuff in the opening segment. This movie was made for $15 million.
Ooh, that's nothing.
Which is nothing, but it's like double what Fargo got. So the Coen brothers got double budget off their success on Fargo, and then this it made almost $47 million. So it tripled its money easy. It didn't quite make as much as Fargo did. So I wouldn't call that a bomb. It tripled its money. That's huge, but it wasn't even over $100 million.
So that's what winning an Academy Award will do you, is get you a blank check on your next movie. Whatever you want to do, and that's when you get your weird one out. You win a Best Picture Oscar, it's like, all right, now we can do our weird movie.
Yeah, and I love these guys and how they kind of, I don't know. So there's something really magical about how these two guys make their movies. I really like their results.
For sure.
So did you have anything else, or do you want to roll for initiative?
Let's roll for initiative.
All right. I got a 10.
9.
Dang, I'm on fire. What is this, 3 in a row?
Something like that. Well, you didn't let us use the good dice. These are loaded dice that we brought down here.
Just random. I took them out of the random dice bucket.
Dave has like an organizing, and not just like a Rubbermaid thing. Like he has a very pretty dice cabinet upstairs.
With little drawers and everything for each different set. Yeah, I like it. I ordered that online and put it together. So I got a few things, and I'm going to keep them short. Okay. We can go back and forth though. Brandon Sanderson, famous author who finished the Wheel of Time novels and is famous for his many-time New York Times bestseller status. He did a Kickstarter for his own little publishing company, Dragonsteel Publishing. It's called Surprise, 4 Secret Novels that awesome. He wrote during COVID lockdown because he deals with stress by excessively working. And so he wrote 4 novels that he is self-publishing. So they're totally off contract. and he made a Kickstarter for them. So you can get them. They're fully audio recorded already. You can get them audiobook, ebook, hardback, and then he also has like a monthly swag thing where you can get all sorts of stuff. It's like the year of Sanderson. He'll release a novel every 3 months.
Wow.
So it's really cool. And
So tell me again, how many did he write?
4.
In 2 years?
Yeah, extra on top of his contractual obligations, which he has also kept up with.
Man, he finished Wheel of Time one, and maybe he should finish Game of Thrones.
He should finish Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It would be very good. I love Sanderson. So I backed it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And it is the highest grossing Kickstarter ever of all varieties at $28 million and counting. It's only a couple weeks in. It surpassed the previous high, which was a $20 million e-watch. So
very cool. While we're talking Sanderson, I'm not familiar with this. So Diver Lisa was asking me or talking to me about books her 10-year-old son is interested in reading. And Sanderson's Mistborn came up. Do you think that's appropriate?
Mistborn is pretty approachable if at 10 years old. If he's a very advanced reader, yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
There's a very minor romance subplot, but it never gets adult.
Okay.
And I think Sanderson himself, if you're interested in the author, he's a very religious man. He's a Latter-day Saints. He's everything is clean. There's violence in his books because they're fantasy novels, but he's not like Sanderson.
Or
there's no
Martin,
sister fucking. Yeah, I'm sorry. He's not like Sanderson is no Martin. There's no sister fucking. There's no incest or whatever else. It's all pretty on the level, but his stuff is really cerebral. He has other series, but Mistborn is very approachable.
Okay.
I'm currently reading the Stormlight Archive, and it's like a mega series. It's his epic fantasy where the books are like 1,200 pages a pop.
Wow.
He puts them out like that as fast as you can read them. There'll be another one.
That's wild. I wonder, he must just be super disciplined about writing.
Yeah, and he actually teaches. He lives in Salt Lake City. He teaches adjunct at BYU. He teaches novel writing there.
Oh wow!
And you can see all of his lectures on YouTube. He publishes them all, so you can essentially audit his class for free. I have done it twice, 2 different years, because he updates his lecture series. Anyway, that was a lot longer than I wanted to spend on the first data point, but I put it first because it's the best one.
Okay.
What do you got?
I was just going to use my roll for initiative time to talk about the Batman, Matt Reeves' The Batman.
I knew you would talk about it, so I didn't even mention it.
Yeah. So good.
Oh.
So there's a lot of talk online about, is this better than The Dark Knight? Mm-hmm. And they're on a level, is what I would say. It is comparable to The Dark Knight. I think if you are someone who's just like, I'm over Batman, then you're not going to be into this, because it is definitely a Batman movie, but it's a very good Batman movie. And it's a very long Batman movie. It's 3 hours long.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But
is it on HBO? Can I just... Okay.
45 days, I think.
You have to go to a theater to see it? That's 100% not happening.
Well, but you don't have to wait very long.
Sure.
45 days, and it'll be on HBO Max.
Okay.
And then you can, pause it and go to the bathroom. You don't have to sit there iron butt for 3 hours. But it's amazing. Tie it to the Big Lebowski. John Turturro plays Carmine Falcone.
Oh,
he's excellent in it. Robert Pattinson is become one of my favorite Batmen.
Batman, I like that.
Easily. Zoe Kravitz definitely kills it as Catwoman. I think the thing that doesn't give it a leg up on The Dark Knight is you just can't touch Heath Ledger's Joker.
Mm-hmm. Who plays the Joker in this? Is there a Joker?
It's been out for a couple weeks, right? So we'll spoil.
Well, yes. Our podcast is never spoiler safe.
Barry Keoghan. Irish names are hard, but sure. He shows up near the end of the film, and he is
for the sequel. They're getting him ready. Okay.
Yeah, Joker is teased out at the end of the movie.
I will say, from the the trailers, the Batmobile is like really cool.
Oh, I love it. It's so there. It's very. I'm not sure if it's a Challenger or a Camaro.
It's probably some hybrid.
It's not any real car,
Yeah.
but it's amazing, and it's just a monster. There's a car chase scene that you get little pieces of in the trailer in the sort of the middle of the movie, and it is one of the best car chases filmed, and it's very practical effects. It is it's like a horror movie. It's like getting chased by Christine. It's
interesting.
It's very much neo-noir horror in the vein of like David Fincher's Seven. It's a pretty dark, brutal movie. And I was actually there's some murders towards the beginning of the film that I was like, I don't know if Lisa's gonna be able to sit through this whole thing if we keep going through these brutal murders like this, because it's like a PG-13. It's so dark, so you wouldn't see blood anyway. So they do some really gnarly stuff in this movie.
Dang, and they kept it PG-13.
Yeah, because PG-13 doesn't really care about scrunching noises and splats and stuff when you can't see the red blood.
Oh, okay.
But
it's interesting.
Yeah, I would not. Well, I mean, an advanced 13-year-old could sit through this, but there's some disturbing violence in this movie.
Huh. That's interesting.
But that's what I want to talk about. So what's your next thing?
I mean, I hear Pattinson spent like 14 years prepping for this role by being hated for being the sparkle vampire.
It made him very bitter.
Yeah, it made him bitter and hard and hatred of humanity because he was the butt of every joke.
He is the most like depressed Bruce Wayne you've ever seen.
Yeah, that tracks. It's very Twilight.
Yeah. And it's very like Pattinson just makes interesting films. Like in the time between Twilight and now, he's like The Lighthouse comes to mind. He does really intense, interesting movies
because he's got his money, right? So he can just do what he wants to do.
Yeah, he's on that Daniel Radcliffe program where it's like, oh, that sounds cool. Yeah, I'll do that. You don't even have to pay me. I get Harry Potter checks every month.
So I got a few little things things that are coming out. Jujutsu Kaisen 0 is coming out on the 18th of March, so shortly after this drops. It is a anime movie, which, there's a lot you can say about them, but this is actually going to be a little bit different.
Okay.
It's a prequel movie, happens before the series, so it doesn't do any of that whole put the toys back in the box thing. It's kind of a bit of an origin story, and it's getting really high reviews. I've seen like multiple people giving it like 5 out of 5 and stuff like that. It's very seems to be getting big praise. So I'm definitely going to check that out. I'm looking forward to that because Jujutsu Kaisen is one of the best anime that's come out in the last couple of years, for sure. And it's, we're between seasons at this point.
I know it's very popular, and I must be in the demographic because I get ads for that movie. But generally, like you said, those anime movies, not that I'm against them. I like a lot of them. They generally require you to watch like 100 episodes of a show.
Yeah.
So this is different though. This is like a prequel.
Yeah, this is a prequel. I mean, if you wanted to watch the anime first so that you could know that that Gojo is your favorite character because he's literally the best, then you would do that so that you can really love this movie. But if you just watch this movie first and then watch the show,
then you're primed for the show.
Yeah, you'll see the show differently because you'll understand when he walks on screen, this guy, and so it'll hit you different.
Interesting. So I obviously I'm a fan of anime, but I feel very like the time investment required to get into a lot of the popular series just always seems overwhelming.
Jujutsu Kaisen isn't that expansive. Like I think there's got to be less, like 50 or less episodes in total. It's newish, so there's not like a billion seasons out there.
And this is about like ghost hunting or something?
It's called, it's got demons and ghosts, and people engaging in magic and battling, and it's set in a modern setting with occult stuff.
Okay.
And there's a lot of there's some dark themes. It's certainly got some sinister stuff, but check it out if you're interested. I know we both definitely watched the Obi-Wan trailer.
Yeah. I just got a little Obi-Wan news bump on my phone too, so tell your thing.
I was just gonna say this isn't out till May, so I'm not gonna deep dive this trailer. I'm just gonna say if you're a diver and you like Star Wars, you should check this out because it seems really cool.
I'll say the Obi-Wan trailer gave me legit chills. And I was, I was a little raw about not the Mandalorian. Mandalorian's great. About the Book of Boba Fett. It didn't blow my mind, but this looks really good. The little news blip that I saw just as we started recording was that this show, remember they took like a long hiatus and kind of rejiggered the show.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the stuff they were doing with Darth Maul and stuff like that apparently has been cut out of the show.
What?
And they reworked things. They felt like it was maybe treading a little too close to thematically to what the Mandalorian does, of the sort of lone wolf and cub thing.
Okay.
And honestly, the Obi-Wan and Darth Maul's storyline played out through the animated series, both Clone Wars and Rebels.
Yeah.
And it would be sort of rehashing and doing a live action version of stuff that already exists. So I'm kind of glad they got rid of that.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's news to me, but I'm good with it.
Breaking news. It just buzzed on my phone when we started.
And then I had one last piece of news, and that's there's a new D&D book coming out on the 15th, the day this show drops, which is tomorrow for us recording. It's Call of the Netherdeep. It's a campaign. It's a adventure, but it's one of the full-size, like, hardbound ones. And this is the first one that's set in the Critical Role world of Exandria, and it was partially written by Matt Mercer. Okay. And it's cool because it's debuting on the 7th anniversary of Critical Role as a show. And so they have a whole week of special stuff coming out this week and whatnot. So if you're interested in D&D, Call of the Netherdeep, and then Critical Role 7th anniversary, they have a bunch of festivities and stuff going on. Like they have their the episode for this week is being shown in theaters for crowds and stuff. And
cool.
Nothing around here. They're only in Cinemark, which I have no idea where that's at.
We got a Cinemark, what? In Clackamas.
I looked it up on the website. It didn't show any show times within 50 miles of my home. So
weird. Yeah, there's a couple Cinemark. Cinemark's a nice theater chain.
Is it?
I'll plug them over AMC for sure.
Yeah, well, I don't love AMC.
No.
All right, so let's get into the podcast field. This is a different one for us. Let's hear about it.
So, I couldn't find anything more appropriate for the Big Lebowski than a White Russian. So I got a Cutwater White Russian cocktail in a can. They're out of San Diego. It is 14% alcohol by volume. It's a White Russian with Cutwater vodka and coffee cream liqueur. It is at 14%, the biggest podcast fuel that we've tackled. And it tastes like coffee creamer with vodka in it to me.
I gotta say, I'm thinking I want to go buy some of this to have in the house.
Just to have it.
It's really good.
Yeah, they and they have other craft cocktails, just canned. I really only encountered this in Japan, the cocktail in a can.
Yeah, for sure. I remember that.
And we've adopted this. I'm glad we don't sell it in vending machines just on the street like they do in Japan. But yeah, I like the cocktail in a can, and it takes a lot of the we see several times in this film. We see the dude pouring his White Russians.
Mm-hmm. Now, hey, watch the beverage.
Yeah, if it was today, I bet the dude is just buying these in a can. It's just
100%.
He's about taking it easy, and it doesn't get easier than a can.
And it's mixed perfectly. Like this is a perfect balance. So if you divers haven't had a White Russian in a long time, because I haven't, go pick up a Cutwater White Russian in a can. You will not be disappointed. It's very good.
All right, let's take a break and get into the Big Lebowski. All right, divers, let's dive into Joel and Ethan Coen's 1998, The Big Lebowski.
So this opens up with a Sam Elliott cowboy voiceover, kind of with this, tumbleweeds, and desert and whatnot.
We have a rolling tumbleweed set to Sons of the Pioneers song. I think "Tumbling Tumbleweed" is the name of the song.
Very creative.
Yeah, and Sam Elliott starts giving, setting the scene for us, and it occurs to me, this is where Sam Elliott shows up on my radar. Like, I mean, I'd seen Lonesome Dove. My dad was into that, but I was not a fan of Sam Elliott really before this movie.
Yeah, I thought he was, before this, he was just nebulously some cowboy guy.
Dad stuff. That's dad stuff. It's fine, but it's not our stuff. But this is our stuff.
Yeah, and I really like this. He's kind of a bookend in the movie.
What's your take on the stranger? Who is the stranger?
I don't know. I think the stranger is just, he's meant to provide you with kind of a contextual lens and an outsider's point of view, and to kind of ramp you into the story.
Yeah.
Because you are an outsider, and he's just sort of easing you into it. I kind of like that. It's very literary the way they did this.
Yeah, and it's very detective novel. You have that omniscient narrator a lot of times.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I just thought it was pretty cool, and then we get our first, you get an LA cityscape view, and the tumbleweed goes all the way to the beach and whatnot. And there's a lot of really good camera work in this movie.
Roger Deakins, man. Roger Deakins is a hell of a cinematographer.
Yeah, I mean, for a comedy movie, this movie is shot really artfully, and I really appreciate that. And then you get the scene, you get to meet the dude. You see this guy in a grocery store, and he's shopping for like half and half.
Yeah, shouts to Ralph's. We don't have Ralph's in the Northwest, but I think that's a Safeway store. I think
something.
Yeah, and the dude is there in a bathrobe and slides, and he's sampling the merchandise a little bit. He wants to get the right half and half.
I think if he lived today, those would have been Crocs.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of things. The dude would just buy the canned cocktails. The dude had moved on to Crocs. No more jelly sandals.
Oh, man. I love the jelly sandals.
Oh, it just seems... I guess there's a lot of breathing room, but it just seems like foot fungus to me, those plastic sandals.
And then he pays with a check for like 69 cents or something.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing.
And there's news in the background, and it's got George Bush with Gulf War I. This is really interesting stuff, like how they keep it timely. They let you know that this is the real world. This isn't like some sort of dreamland or alternate reality.
Yeah, and it's grounded in a very specific time period, like at the early 90s, where the movie's coming out of the late 90s, but we're at the turn of the decade, kind of. And the stranger tells us something about the dude being the man of his time.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because he's such a 60s dude that he's the man of his time in 1991. This is the time that he represents.
Huh.
And that's interesting because he's the slacker, right? Like, he's sort of like the patron saint of the slackers.
For some reason, during the 90s, the idea of being a slacker was very glorified.
I don't know if you're supposed to get this message, but I do see the dude as an aspirational figure.
Well, I like how he always is chill about everything, and he just kind of lets things go.
Yeah.
That's aspirational for sure. So basically, like, he, it cuts to his house, and there's just some dudes busting in on his house.
He walks in, and you get, like, he's sort of like, his dude sense is tingling, and he senses something is wrong, and there's two guys in the apartment, and they just like bushwhack him, and like ram him kind of like through the doorway so that they take out some of the plaster on the way through, and then plunge his head in the toilet, and they're asking him about this. Where's the money, Lebowski? And it's quite a start to a film. Like, it really, you just drop in and like the action's already happening.
Yeah, he's getting attacked, and you learn that these are two guys who are they work for Jackie Treehorn.
Freudian slip.
Yeah, Jackie Treehorn, the porn kingpin. And you learn that his Lebowski's wife owes Jackie Treehorn money.
Yeah,
and the dude is perplexed because he has no wife.
Yeah, he's incredulous, and the two guys are like, "Isn't this guy supposed to be a millionaire?
Why is he living in a dump like this?"
Yeah, and that happened. I mean, we jumped the gun because one of them peed on his Karastan rug. He has a nice Oriental rug in the middle of his little apartment, and this guy Wu, I think his name was, peed on the rug. And it's just the indignity.
And he's like, "Not on the rug, man. Not on the." He doesn't care about getting beat up or getting his head stuck in the toilet, but he does not want his rug getting peed on.
No, the dude is unflappable through this whole thing. Like, when there's like, "Where's the money, Lebowski?" And they pull his head out of the toilet, and he goes, "It's down there somewhere. Let me take another look." And he's carrying his bowling bag with him, and the guy says, "What the fuck is this about the bowling ball?" He goes, "Obviously you're not a golfer."
Yeah, I loved that line when I was a kid for some reason. I was just like, man, what a fucking dipshit.
Yeah, no, the dude is so, like, he's so cool through a home invasion and an extortion. He doesn't get stressed over this until they pee on his rug. That's the bridge too far for him.
Yeah. And then it cuts to a bowling alley, and you see bowling pins, and you kind of get this interesting overview. There's a lot of footage of like the pin resetter and the balls rolling down. And they do it in a way that doesn't make you feel like, okay, get on with it. It just kind of sets a mood.
Yeah, it's very, like it's a montage of semi-pro bowlers, like league bowlers.
Yeah.
Not just, well, let's go bowling, but like people that bowl not quite professionally, but almost, like that's a whole subculture.
Yeah, like they have their own ball, they have their own shoes, they have
and they have teams and they compete, and it's like it's an almost professional thing, and it's all set to Bob Dylan, The Man in Me, and it's a really nice scene of bowling. That was something I hung out with my buddy Ryan the other day, and he says, "Talk about the bowling." And it's like, I kind of have to. It's almost a movie.
I kind of want to go to Lebowski Fest, where there's several of them and a lot of them happen at bowling alleys, and
it sounds like fun. A weird. I watched. I don't know if you saw the reunion interview with Goodman and Buscemi and Jeff Bridges.
No, I didn't.
And they talked about Lebowski Fest and how weird it was because like they're doing their panel and people are just constantly shouting lines from the movie. And like there was a screening of the movie, and Goodman was saying, he's like, "I wanted to stay for the screening, but it got weird and I had to get out of there." And so you get the feeling some of the Lebowski fans are a little fanatical.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like Rocky Horror, kind of how people are shouting along. And
yeah, I've never been to we needed to go to a screening of Lebowski for sure.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome.
Okay. We meet the bowling team.
Yeah, Walter and Donnie, and I feel like Walter and Donnie are the unsung comedic heroes of this movie.
Yeah. Well, so I watched this video essay about the movie, and it's talking about how the dude is so level that you need people to introduce chaos to make a story happen, because with the dude, there's never going to be any conflict. So you need Walter essentially to drive conflict.
Yeah, and he's always shitting on Donnie.
Yeah, poor Donnie, man. Donnie, shut the fuck up, Donnie.
You're out of your depths, Donnie.
Yeah, you're out of your element.
Yeah, I love Walter. I think he's really funny. Yeah, and I just think this little bowling team is a perfect combination of people. And I think that basically you need that big personality of Walter just to sort of add a bombastic nature. And I think everybody has met a Walter at some point. Sometimes I wonder if I'm the Walter of my friend group, but maybe when I was younger.
No, I think if we're, as we kind of do this from movie to movie, if we're applying, who are we in the movie, then you're the Walter and I'm the dude. But IRL, you're not a Walter.
Not as that.
John Goodman said this thing about, he wondered if Walter had actually served because he said he's never met a combat veteran that talked about it as much as Walter does.
That's true.
So he kind of imagines Walter was just stationed somewhere far away, Okinawa or something like that. He was never out there. With his buddies dying face down in the muck, Walter was a million miles away.
Yeah, I fully concur with that. You generally don't meet combat veterans that are talking about it all the time. Me being one, and we hang out all the time, I don't really bring it up much. But there is one line in this movie, and it's way later, but we're talking about veteran stuff. And when they're in the Big Lebowski's mansion, and somebody says, "And who are you?" And Lebowski goes, "Who am I? I'm a fucking veteran." I just started yelling that in the house because I thought it was so funny.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's that line stuck with me, and I'm sure I'm gonna say it at some point.
So anyways, Walter, he's, enraged on the dude's behalf. And he has it in his mind, the dude should seek compensation from the real Jeff Lebowski.
And he's not wrong. I think...
Yeah, I think if you get caught up because someone's coming after someone with your name for money that they owe, yeah, you probably would want to give that guy a call. Like, yeah, come on, your shit's rolling downhill onto me.
I think everyone needs a friend like Walter. Someone who's just indignant on your behalf. Like, if you're slighted, they're mad about it.
Yeah.
I think it's good to have your friends that care about you that much. Walter loves the dude.
That's true. And I think even though he's terrible to Donnie, I think Walter loves Donnie too.
He does. He just doesn't. He's kind of toxic too.
Yeah, toxic masculinity.
For sure.
Different forms of masculinity is one of the prevailing themes of the movie.
For sure.
It comes down. You hear it in the music, like the Bob Dylan song. That's kind of the dude's theme, "The Man in Me." Mm-hmm. This is a lot about what it means to be a man. That kind of comes up a few times, and Walter is the overcompensating man. That he sort of represents in a way the worst things about the baby boomers.
Yeah, he really does. Like, Walter represents kind of I think Walter and the Big Lebowski represent the things we hate about baby boomers.
Mm-hmm. But then we also love it. So what's that about?
Well, it's because nothing is as cut and dry as black and white. But
okay, so cut to the Big Lebowski's mansion.
Yeah, and I love. So it just sort of cuts to this. He's in like a foyer, or maybe it's like a sitting room, and there's a bunch of photos on the wall, and the dude is looking at him, and Brandt, played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, is talking about what they are. Rest in peace. Mm-hmm. And man, I just love this scene. These guys are both really good actors.
Oh, yeah.
They took a scene of looking at pictures on a wall, and they made it really witty.
If you imagine this movie's made by anyone other than the Coen brothers, and you don't get this cast of just powerhouses, like every single one of them, like a serious thespian.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff wouldn't land the way it does with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Jeff Bridges doing it.
Yeah, and Jeff Bridges never got high even once for this movie. He did every scene stone cold sober, and he no alcohol, just so he could do the lines as convincingly as humanly possible.
Yeah,
he wanted all of his faculties.
I read today that if he's supposed to be stoned in the scene before they rolled, he would rub his fist in his eyes until he got his eyes red, and then play the scene.
Yeah, I think that's really telling about his professionalism as an actor.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, he's talking about these pictures, and then eventually the dude gets let in to see the Big Lebowski, and it turns out the Big Lebowski is kind of this big dude in a wheelchair, and he's just a complete prick.
He's such a dick.
He gives off heavy Republican vibes.
Well, he does have a framed picture of himself with Nancy Reagan on the wall.
Yeah.
And the key to the city of Pasadena. And you definitely, he's definitely a Trumpster. He'd be dead by now.
Yeah. 30 years ago. Yeah, that guy's dead.
But he's such a dick, and he thinks the dude is just a bum, right?
Yeah. Where do you work, Jeffrey?
Yes. You don't go to a job interview dressed like this, do you? And it's like, it just strikes me as such a non sequitur when people come at you with stuff like that. Like you're in your civvies and they want to you can't dress like this at a job. It's like, I'm not at my job. I'm at fucking Burger King or wherever I am. So it's like, he's not at a job interview. So why is he supposed to be dressed like he's at a job interview?
Yeah, it's a total straw man argument there. It's great because Big Lebowski basically tells him to fuck off. And so he just takes it, rolls with the punches. He's like, yeah, man, I'm out of here. And he leaves and he convinces Brent. He's like, yeah, he said, take any rug in the place. And he just points one out and he has it delivered to him.
Another beautiful Karastan rug. I've got a couple Karastan rugs myself, but I don't have any of those really classic ones because at the time when my wife sold furniture and stuff and we got Karastan rugs, I thought we should get a more modern looking one. I don't want one of those old fashioned ones, and I've kicked myself about it every time I look at them. Yeah. I was like, oh, the classics. Why did I go with something that looks dated instead of something that looks classic?
Yeah, my in-laws have some really cool rugs like that that I believe they got when they were in Turkey or something like that.
Hand tufted.
Yeah, they're
serious artisans.
It may not be Turkey. I could be messing that up. Carrie will correct me, but it's somewhere where it was made there.
It's not to do it. Rugs are important to this movie, so we'll do a little.
This is the rug movie.
Yeah, hand tufted Oriental rugs. You see them so many places. There's say a local record store, Second Avenue Records, and they've got Karastan rugs all over the floor, and they're kind of well worn,
from threadbare,
from years and years of people walking on them, and they're still holding up. Who knows how old they are, and they're still beautiful. They are so intricately woven. And that's something Diver Carey knows all about is weaving.
Oh yeah, for sure. Champion weaver.
Yeah.
So he gets the rug, and then he's leaving, and he's walking out, and you see this lady sitting in a deck chair, and she definitely doesn't look like the Big Lebowski's type of wife, She
right.
Turns out this is Bunny, his Big Lebowski's trophy wife, and you see her friend Yuli, who is or is it Uli?
Uli, yeah.
Uli, who's floating in the pool, basically asleep.
He's passed out. There's a fifth Jack Daniels or a Johnny Walker bottle, one of the square liquor bottles out there floating in the pool next to him.
Yeah.
And we brushed over this. It's actually Bunny Lebowski that owes the money. Not Jeffrey Lebowski.
Yeah, I said that earlier when we were talking about the porn kingpin, but yeah, it's not the Big Lebowski. It's not Jeffrey Lebowski. It's his trophy wife who has gone into debt because she has an allowance from her husband, and she always is overspending her allowance.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. You know, I don't know. We'll get to it. I think we'll talk about the plot reveals as they come.
Yeah.
But the way he frames it as she has a very reasonable allowance, and it's not my fault if she goes over her allowance. And it's very much that he's the one writing the checks and he's in control of everything. And there's a lot of posturing that we're not really questioning yet. It just seems natural that this guy is actually a millionaire or billionaire, and this is his estate, and all of this stuff is seeming believable. We're just kind of buying it all. And Bunny, played by Tara Reid, you know, she doesn't have a lot of dialogue in the movie, but she offers to suck the dude's cock for $1,000. And I backed it up and watched Philip Seymour Hoffman's face through that whole scene like multiple times. It is like the most beautiful, uncomfortable, trying to play it off like this is funny, but he knows it's true. And the way he's flaring his nostrils, and it's just Philip Seymour Hoffman, gone too soon. That guy was a legend, and he's amazing in a very small part.
Yeah, for sure. And I really think that Bunny, I think Tara Reid does a great job in this part. It's really amusing how she does it. But basically, the dude, you can tell he's kind of considering this offer, but he's like, nah.
Yeah, but he does, as he's leaving, he says, I'm just on my way to go hit the cash machine. Yeah.
You know he doesn't have $1,000.
In his bank? No, there's no way. There's no way. Back to bowling.
Yeah, and Walter and Donnie are there, and Walter has this little dog in a carrier. He says it's a Pomeranian. That's no Pomeranian.
No, it's like a Cairn Terrier, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Just something to note there. Donnie is just throwing strikes. Donnie's a really good bowler.
Yeah, and I notice every time you see Donnie at the alley, he's wearing a different bowling shirt with some different name.
That's important. That'll play in something later. That's going to foreshadow something.
And yeah, and Donnie's super good. And then there's some other people bowling, and Walter calls out over the line. And Smokey is like, who's the guy who's over the line? He seems like a really chill, easygoing guy, like a long-haired hippie-ish dude. And Walter's like, market 0.
Yeah.
Smokey's like, market 8.
Yeah, Smokey protests. He doesn't think his toe was over the line.
Yeah.
The dude is like, even if it was a little over the line, it's Smokey, just let it slide.
Yeah, he's just a chill friend, you know?
Yeah, but Walter's not having it. He says, this isn't Smokey, there are rules.
You are entering a world of pain.
Yeah, and Walter pulls a gun at the bowling alley, and the scene escalates rapidly. Like it just gets way out of hand.
And you know the thing is it escalates to a farcical level. But sometimes I feel like I'm the only one that gives a shit about the rules. And you know, if there's no rules, why are you even playing? Why not just walk down there and kick the fucking pins?
I mean, I think there's levels to this, and there's levels of seriousness at bowling.
Yeah, it is bowling, and I love after, you know. So he blows up and pulls out a gun, and a funny line that I love. The dude says, he goes, "You're not wrong. You're just an asshole."
Right. That's they get out to the car, and the cops are showing up because obviously someone pulled a gun at the bowling alley, so the cops get called. And the dude and Walter are talking about the caller, and Walter is such a great gaslighter where he's like, I'm calmer than you are, dude. I'm calmer than you are.
I love that. He's technically right, because the dude is kind of freaking out and Walter is calm.
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful scene. And then when the dude the dude gets home, he's listening to his answering machine, and he's listening to Captain Beefheart and Making a White Russian. The landlord comes by and invites dude to this performance art thing that he's putting on, and just subtly reminds him that it's like the 10th and you haven't paid the rent yet.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to be uncool about it.
Yeah, because it seems like he likes the dude and whatnot. But yeah, I love the idea of like if your landlord comes by and asks you to come to their dance performance, and then just sort of mentions, "Oh yeah, you're overdue on your rent. No big deal."
Yeah, and I think this is something to do with like the ethics of the dude. Later we see he goes to the performance. He's not lying. Like
sure.
The dude is, in his own way, is a very reliable, dependable friend. Like,
yeah, he supports his buddy. You know, like it's not that he's he's a loser. He is who he is.
He's just the dude.
He's very predictable, and I love how when the dude goes into his apartment, he's doing like Tai Chi with a white Russian in his hand. It's like, and he just occasionally sips it as he's doing his Tai Chi.
I do just all the sort of little set pieces of the dude in his apartment and the rug, which literally, like, it comes up a lot. The rug really ties the room together. The rug is like the central place of his very utilitarian apartment that he lives in.
Yeah, like he's standing on that rug when he's doing his Tai Chi moves.
Yeah, and he lays on the rug when he's like listening to tapes or whatever, and it's like the rug the rug means something to him.
Yeah, it's not just sort of it's not a floor covering.
Yeah, and so there's several messages on the answer machine from Brandt, and he wants the dude to call him back, and he'll send a car over.
He's like, and it's not about the rug.
Yeah,
it's about something else. and I thought that was funny because you could tell that the dude was like, yeah, I'm not answering that. And then when he says it's not about the rug, it's about an offer. He's like, oh,
okay, I'll go for a free limo ride. Like that's just why not? Yeah.
It's a fun little thing, and then you go back to the bowling alley. This is kind of where we head back, and this is the Jesus scene.
Oh, is this? No. We go to the Lebowski's mansion before.
Oh, are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, we go to Lebowski's mansion, and that's where he gets the Big Lebowski's in seclusion. And he's sitting in his study, kind of weeping, and Bunny's been kidnapped, and he kind of lays the thing out to the dude, and the dude is like, "Mind if I do it, Jay?" and like, and he smokes a doob while the Big Lebowski weeps and tells him about Bunny, and then Brandt fills him in about their plan. Like they want to use the dude as a courier to bring the money to the kidnappers.
Yeah, so they decided to hire the dude to carry $1 million to the kidnappers, and dude is going to get paid $20,000, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of money for the dude.
Yeah, and and it's just something cool to do. I think is a big part of is the dude's motivation. Just like, this is all interesting. Yes, and so then we get the Jesus. The Jesus scene.
Yeah, so John Turturro mostly improv this scene because when they asked him to, which is a big departure for this movie, because in this movie, almost all of that really like whip quick dialogue, it's all very scripted. Almost none of it is improv. But this scene, John Turturro was told that he was invited to be on this movie. It's not like he auditioned,
Right.
And he thought that he was going to have a larger part, but it turns out it's just a real bit part.
Right.
And so he really kind of hammed it up and made it his own. And it was funny because after he saw it, he was actually kind of embarrassed by how over the top he was. But I really think that this was just a classic part of the movie.
It is, and it's really interesting. So, like, this whole thing with the Jesus, playing bowling, set to the Gypsy Kings cover of Hotel California. Nowadays, someone would say, we can't cast John Turturro to play a Puerto Rican pedophile. Like someone would say, like, this is wrong on a few levels.
His manager?
Yeah, like, there's just, it would be controversial. But it works. And somehow this is like one of the most beloved characters in the movie. And he's described as being a terrible person. Walter's an unreliable narrator.
He is a very unreliable narrator.
So I don't know that any of the stuff they say about him is true. But he's described as being a despicable man.
I love some of the lines. They're like, that creep can roll.
Fucking Quintana, man. Yeah. It's this whole thing, his little dance.
Yeah.
Steve Buscemi said, like, somehow everything he does is obscene.
Yes.
Like, and he walks like leading with his dick everywhere he goes. Like, he wears like a jumpsuit,
like a romper,
or like a romper, or like
coveralls.
They call it a speed suit on the Venture Brothers. That's what Dr. Venture always wears, a speed suit. Oh, God. So he wears like a speed suit with his pelvis pushed forward the whole time. But the creep can roll. Like,
yeah, but he's a pervert. Walter always, anytime someone says something good about the Jesus, he says, yeah, but he's a pervert.
Yeah. 8-year-olds, dude. Yeah. It's so some people think this is a commentary on like the Catholic Church. Like the Jesus represents the church, and that there's different philosophies that are being kind of laid out. Different people represent different philosophies.
Oh.
And the Jesus is like a pretty harsh condemnation of the Catholic Church.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, he's literally named Jesus. He's all pomp and circumstance.
And alleged to be a pedophile.
Sure, yeah. They never actually address that, whether it's true or not.
Yeah, maybe it gets in Jesus' roles. Maybe that's covered a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. We'll get to that. But the dude has an interesting theory. The Jesus is just scenery. Mm-hmm. The dude thinks that Bunny probably kidnapped herself. Mm-hmm. And this really sets Walter off again. He's like, that strumpet. Like, he's just outraged that girl faked her own kidnapping.
I love that kind of archaic language.
Strumpet? Yeah, there's a few good ones in this movie.
Yeah, and there's a line in there where, the Jesus comes and he confronts Walter. Mm-hmm. And he says, I heard you pulled a piece out on somebody.
Yeah.
And he tells him what he'll do with the piece. And then I just love the line. He's like, nobody fucks with the Jesus. And I think that's the iconic line from the movie. For the Jesus, is nobody fucks with the Jesus.
Yeah. Because he says, I'll take it from you, and I'll put it up your ass and pull the trigger till it goes click. And the dude is like, Jesus. Like, he's just like, what the fuck?
And Walter just looks like indignant.
Oh yeah, Walter is just like,
he's like, I will fight you.
Oh man. And so, cut to the dude. He's laying on the rug with his Sony Walkman, just listening to bowling.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. He's listening to the sound of a ball roll and then a pin, and he has tapes with the name of the tournament on it and the year.
Yeah, that's the podcast of his era.
Oh yeah.
And the dude opens his eyes. And he's looking at Maud Lebowski. We don't know it's Maud Lebowski yet. And two goons. Mm-hmm. And he gets punched in the face. And we go to one of our first dude hallucinations of the dude just sort of flying over L.A., following after Maud Lebowski, who's riding the Karastan rug like a flying carpet.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting how... it became a hallucination at that point.
Yeah, he talks about acid flashbacks at some point later in the film. I don't know that it quite works exactly like that. I don't think it does. it's weird. I call this a noir pastiche. Maud is the femme fatale of the noir story.
Sure.
And I love that it's almost a love story between the dude and Maud. Like,
Sort of.
He's fixated on her instantly, despite the fact that she just like jacked him.
Yeah.
And he's just like, he's very taken by this lady. Which that is a big part of that genre, right? Like the femme fatale sort of seduces the detective.
Yeah, and we learn in this scene that the rug that he took / was given by the Big Lebowski was actually a gift from Maud to her mother, who is now deceased. So it wasn't actually the Big Lebowski's rug to give away, in Maud's opinion. And so she had a sentimental attachment to it, and so she wanted to get it back.
Right. And so after his hallucination, the dude wakes up and the pager's going off and the rug is gone.
Yes.
And so we cut over to the mansion, and Brandt is giving the dude the instructions. He needs to go alone, and he's going to deliver the money. And they give him like one of those old school cell phones. It's like a briefcase. Yeah.
And he makes him repeat, "Her life is in your hands, dude."
Yeah. And so that he's like, "Don't say that, man." And Brandt is adamant that Mr. Lebowski wanted him to say that his life is in your hands. That's good foreshadowing for things that are coming.
Yeah.
And the dude, despite the instructions that he's supposed to go alone,
yeah.
he goes to see Walter, who's it can't be in his original Vietnam era fatigues because there's no way they'd fit him.
No,
but he is in his army greens, bandana tied around his head because he means business, waiting for the dude. And he gets in the car. He's like, "Move over, dude." Like, "I'm driving." And he lays out his very stupid plan, where he's filled a bowling bag with his dirty underwear, and they're going to use it as a ringer, and they're going to keep the $1 million and get the $20,000. And Walter uses a lot of wheeze.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
we're owed this money and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah, I thought I was thinking, I was like, if one of my friends was going to do something crazy and dangerous, they should call me. Like, I'll definitely be there, Walter, help him out.
Walter is no help at all, though.
No, but he's moral support. He's there to make sure that someone's got your back, even if he's incompetent.
I want you to, I think more highly of you than that. And I don't, it does cross my mind occasionally, like situations, and I'd be like, "Well, that's something you call Dave for that," and I do sort of.
We're burying a body.
Yeah, I do sort of think like there's things where I'd call you about it. They're not Walter situations. Yeah, and so Walter. His plan is really dumb, and as they're going, the kidnappers, they call the phone, and they get mad at first when they hear two voices, and there's only supposed to be one person, and then Walter's whole plan is at the handoff to basically grab one of the guys and beat a confession out of him to find out where Bunny is.
It's the worst plan ever.
Yeah, and the kidnappers are like, as you drive over the bridge, throw the bag out. And Walter's like, "Well, that won't work, dude. That messes up our plan." And it's like, yeah, your plan was never going to work. And so Walter chucks out his bag with the dirty laundry in it, jumps out of the moving car,
tries to do like this hero roll thing, and his weapon, he brought an automatic weapon, and it starts discharging like
yeah, he brought an Uzi that's like wrapped in a paper bag and jumps out of the car. Drops it immediately. It's skittering. It shoots the car. I think the dude crashes the car for the first of several times.
Yeah. He shoots himself in the leg. It's ridiculous.
And the kidnappers take off on dirt bikes with the ringer bag, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. And Walter's just sort of like, take the L, and he says, "Fuck it, dude. Let's go bowling." He's just like, he's not concerned with the situation at all.
Well, the dude so they don't go. The plans don't go well, and then the kidnappers leave, and Walter and dude return. They go back to the bowling alley, but Walter's like, "I don't roll on Shabbos." He refuses to roll because it's Saturday, and he's Jewish.
Yeah, so it's a whole thing where they the whatchamacallit, the tournament, because all these league bowling nights that they're doing are leading up to a big bowling tournament.
Oh yeah.
And they're going to have to roll against the Jesus' team
on Saturday,
and it's set on a Saturday, and Walter loses it because he doesn't roll on Shabbos, and we get the whole thing about how Walter is not even Jewish, or not originally. He converted Judaism.
He's a converted Jew.
And it's more of his performative stuff that he does. Yeah,
for sure. This is something he does feel strongly about, but it's over. He's very extra about it, and has to get the league to reschedule the game.
Right.
But they left the ransom money out in the trunk of the car when they go in to roll.
Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine that?
$1 million.
I won't even leave a laptop in a car nowadays.
Oh yeah, you've had your window busted out. And a lot of people have. It's, like things that aren't valuable, like my lunch bag, I'll put in the trunk of the car because I don't want that situation where someone bashes out the window because they think they're going to get something, and it's like, oh, you got my 2 ice packs in the empty Tupperware, and I lost a window and a lunch bag over nothing.
Yeah, I lost a few $100, and
yeah. And so, they left supposedly $1 million in the car, and the car is gone.
Yeah, they come out, and the car is gone, and they're like calling the police. And this is the least realistic part of the entire movie, that cops come for a car theft.
Oh, no, they'll come and take your report.
No, they make you file that report online or at the station. They don't come out for car thefts. I guess it depends on your municipality, but no, not around here.
Yeah, they go to us. This is 1991. Things haven't quite degenerated to the point that they are now.
They would definitely come if someone pulled out a piece in a
the bowling alley,
but not just because I came out of the bowling alley and my car was gone.
Like, yeah, you're right. That would be probably an online referral, like just fill out this form, da-da-da-da.
We'll never find it.
Oh, the Portland police have a 90% recovery rate of stolen cars.
Yeah. That's because when they find the husk of a frame and run the VIN, they call that a recovery.
And then you have to come and collect it or you get fined. So it's 90% recovery. The cops, the dude is pretty funny while he's giving his report. He starts talking about the rug also being stolen, and just wonderful timing. Maud calls and leaves a message on the answering machine then, and says, "I took your rug." And the one of the 2 cops goes, "Well, I guess we can close the file on that one." And he seems legitimately pleased. Like, case closed. That was good detective work.
I like Maud, how she's just a total weirdo. She's pretentious.
Yeah,
she's very avant-garde.
Yeah, and she speaks in that sort of 1930s stilted speech, like she's in a film noir. And Julianne Moore kills it in this movie too. Everyone does.
Yeah. So he has to go and meet up with Maud. Yeah,
he goes to her art studio, and she's like nude in a harness suspended from the ceiling, flinging paint at a canvas, and the dude kind of catches some collateral paint.
Yeah.
And there's a weird, what's the song that was playing? Volcano Song's Duet Walking Song by Meredith Monk is playing. And it's real, like breathy, weird vocal music. And the whole scene is very odd. And the 2 guys that punched him in the face are her harness workers, right? They're the ones pulling her.
They're definitely her lackeys.
it sets a tone. Maud is an artist from the Fluxus movement.
Oh,
Yeah, which I didn't learn enough about to get into it. But she explains, like you said, the rug wasn't her father's to give away because it was a gift to her mother.
Yeah.
And she's also very suspicious about Bunny's kidnapping. She doesn't buy that story.
Yeah, and I think that this is where it's revealed that Bunny is one of Jackie Treehorn's actresses.
Yeah. And Maud, another one of the reoccurring themes in the movie is these sort of hypocrites, right? Mm-hmm. And Maud is this avowed feminist.
Yeah.
But when she's talking about Bunny, like, she's a nymphomaniac, and like she's very unfeminist when she talks about Bunny and the beaver pictures that she makes and, and all of this stuff. It's pretty funny. And we see Uli as Carl Hungus in the movie Log Jammin', where he starred with Bunny.
That's a great title for a movie.
Log Jammin', and Carl Hungus is a good porn name. He's like a cable repairman. He's there to fix the cable.
Yeah, and basically Maud also agrees that, or reveals that her father withdrew illegally the $1 million from the Lebowski Foundation.
Right, this money that's destined for the Lebowski achievers, right? These kids, inner city children, to go to college. He took $1 million out, and she wants the dude to find the money. Basically, she doesn't know the money's in the stolen car. She doesn't know that part of the story,
and she'll give him $100,000.
Finder's fee, and she also refers him to see her doctor. He's a good man and thorough.
Yeah, because her guys beat him up, so that's her excuse. You gotta go get yourself checked out.
Yeah, and so the dude is thinking, he's gonna come away with $120,000 out of this whole deal if he plays his cards right. And he's having a really chill limo ride back to his apartment. Just kicked back, enjoying his White Russian. He stole the glass.
And he's wearing like jelly sandals and kind of lounging decoratively.
He's really kicked back in the back. It's like his posture, just like he's back in dude mode. Like he had been feeling uptight, and now he's getting back into the relaxed mode.
He's kind of bantering with the chauffeur.
Right, yeah. And the chauffeur, as he drops them off, he points out that they've been being tailed by a blue Volkswagen. And that's a little detail that's going to come up later. But we don't have a lot of time to look at that now, because no sooner does the dude get out of the limo that he's grabbed and bodily shoved into another limo.
And he says, "Hey man, watch the beverage."
Yeah, there's a beverage here. Yeah. And the Big Lebowski and Brandt, who have been trying to call the dude, are in the other car, and they're livid with him.
Super pissed.
Yeah. The kidnappers didn't get the money, Lebowski. Like they're very pissed about it. And the dude is trying to spin, and he's like, "New information has come to light." and he says, "She kidnapped herself." And he's kind of telling them the whole rap. And you can't, it sort of seems for a minute like they're like, "Oh, we hadn't thought of any of that," and like they're moved by his performance. But then they produce this envelope with a severed toe in it,
and it has green nail polish, just like Bunny had in the pool scene.
Yeah, and this looks bad.
Yeah, the kidnappers cut off Bunny's toe and are warning him.
And the Big Lebowski tells the dude he's gonna have no choice but to tell the kidnappers that he stole the money, and that they can do whatever it takes to get the money out of him, and that he will be held responsible for anything that happens to Bunny. Yeah, and the dude is not pleased. He's pretty distraught about this whole situation.
So he goes and talks to Walter about it.
Yeah,
because that's his best bro.
How do you think the dude and Walter got to be friends?
Bowling.
through bowling. Just
Yeah. You meet a lot of people when you do activities like that.
Yeah, and it just kind of. Do you think they chose each other to be a team, or it starts as a random sort of thing as you join the league? Or
It might have been, but it might have also been like they're just trying to find teams, and like the dude isn't on a team, and Walter probably just randomly asks him, and he's like, "Okay, man," like because he wouldn't say no.
Yeah, that's very plausible, especially if like people that are nowhere to be on weeknights and bowling, like you do sort of, you'll start seeing the same people repeatedly, and
because like this is what they do.
Okay, plausible. Yeah, I think that all works out because there's such opposites. Like the dude is the Vietnam protester, part of the Seattle 7, and Walter is like the proud Vietnam veteran, and like somehow they end up as best friends.
Yeah, it is really funny. I love how when he's explaining the whole thing to Walter, Walter's like, "That's not Bunny's toe."
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? He goes, "I can get your toe by 3:00 with nail polish."
Yeah. Walter,
Do you think Walter could get you a toe by 3:00, or is that just hyperbole?
there's barely an internet in 1991. I don't know how you could do something that quickly.
You can't get on Craigslist and like,
Yeah. Now conceivably with the dark web,
you like catfish somebody.
it feels like that sort of time frame feels a lot more plausible now. But then Walter's also probably very in that weird Army surplus store message board circle.
Sure, or he pulls out the nickel ads and he goes to some obscure column that you don't even know exists.
In the nickel ads, amazing. Yeah,
remember those? That was a million years ago.
Yeah, and Walter makes a scene in the diner, and the dude he leaves.
yeah. The dude is not wanting to have a problem, and I love it how Walter's like, "I'm not leaving. I'm staying.
I'm gonna enjoy my coffee." Yeah, everyone in the diner is staring at him, and he sits there and he's drinking his coffee defiantly. Yeah. The other thing that stuck out to me was like the dude pays for his coffee with change, and it's like, God, it was so cheap.
Could you imagine? Like, I remember when we were teenagers, you used to be able to get a coffee for like $1. That would get you for all night.
Yeah, and then we could just hang out at Denny's until like
5 a.m.
Whenever you had to finally leave. You had to shower and go to work again.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah, and so the dude just needs to unwind, and he goes and gets himself a Mr. Bubble bath, and he's unwinding, smoking a roach, and listening to whale sounds. And you hear on the answer machine, the police they recovered his car.
Yeah,
and he's like, far out, man. Like he's feeling good about things. Not for long. The door gets busted in come the nihilists.
Yeah, and we get to see this trio of nihilists, and these guys are so funny. Like it's Flea and Uli, and I don't even remember the other guy's name.
Yeah, the actor's name is Torsten. So Peter Stormare plays Uli Kunkel, and Torsten Voges plays Nihilist number 3. Doesn't even have a name.
Okay, great. So he doesn't even have a name. And I love how they throw a ferret in the bathtub with Lebowski. Oh, man, poor little ferret. But,
yeah.
I mean, that just seems horrific to have an angry, drowning ferret trying to claw you and bite you.
And I watch it pretty closely. So they do definitely throw a ferret in the bathtub. While he's thrashing in the tub, that's not a real ferret. And then they scoop the live ferret out of the tub. It's some really good editing there. And the dude calls it a marmot, and it shall be called a marmot through the rest of the film. And I always think it's funny when people don't know what a ferret is.
Yeah, I mean, that's ferrets don't hate water. That's the thing. So I don't think it was a problem to just toss the ferret in there if it was a ferret that likes water.
And it was, though, and Walter is correct about this a bit later, it was illegal to own a ferret in California at the time.
Oh, okay. I wonder why.
I don't know. There's lots of That's a nanny state, man.
Just ask Walter.
Yeah. And I like how when these guys literally bust down his door and come in with a ferret on a leash, and he just says, "Hey, this is a private residence, man." Like he's not ready to hop out of the tub about this.
He's just thinking that informing them it's a private residence, they'll turn around, they'll leave, it will all be fine.
Yeah. But the big takeaway is they want the money. They know he has it, and they threaten to cut off his Johnson if they don't get the money.
Yes.
And the dude is pretty despondent about the prospect of having his Johnson cut off.
I think this movie is when the term Johnson entered my vocabulary.
And it's funny because it came up earlier. Maud used it, right?
Yes.
And the dude sort of bumped up against it when because she said her artwork is known for being vaginal and how the word vagina makes men uncomfortable but men will talk about their dick or their rod or their Johnson. And the dude is like, Johnson? Like it just like, but then it comes up again. We'll cut off your Johnson, and then Johnson. It keeps playing out. That's Coen Brothers script, man. Like they thought about these words.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude collects his car.
Of course, there's no, there's nothing. The briefcase is gone.
The briefcase is gone. Everything on the driver's side doesn't open because they basically rammed it against an abutment. Mm-hmm. They did leave the tape deck and the Creedence tapes, which that's a plus. But someone like pissed in it or something because the car stinks.
Yeah, and when he asks the cop if they're going to catch the people that did this, the cop just starts laughing and laughing. Mm-hmm. That was realistic.
Yeah, I thought that was very
that was
realistic.
Like, oh yeah. Definitely, they don't catch criminals, and they're unapologetic about that.
Yeah, so there's nothing to do here except for go bowling again.
Yeah. So he goes and meets up with Walter and Donnie at the bowling alley, and I like how they're sitting there at the counter. And and the dude has a White Russian. Mm-hmm. Donnie has an orange slice.
Yeah.
And Walter has a Miller Genuine Draft.
Yeah.
I like these drink selections for these three characters.
Yeah, it does. It kind of tells you who they are. And the dude, he said, "My only hope is the Big Lebowski kills me before the Germans can cut my dick off." and Donnie's in the middle of this conversation, like trying to keep up with him and Walter. Mm-hmm. And he's like, Walter, he's like, fucking Germans, they're Nazis. And he's like, they were Nazis, dude. And he's like, no, they were nihilists, man. They kept saying they believed in nothing. And he was like, nihilists. Say what you will about the tenets of National Socialism, but at least it's an ethos.
I like it when he says "fuck the tournament," and that's not even possible.
He's like, "Fuck you, man," and "fuck the tournament," and Walter's like, "Well, you don't want to be cheered up, dude."
You don't want to be cheered up.
Yeah, he's like, "Let's go get Elaine, Donnie," and they leave, and this is when the stranger shows up.
Yeah, the stranger sits down next to dude, and they have a nice little conversation. I like this character.
Mm-hmm. I like, I think I've kind of been going around about who the stranger is, and I think the stranger is God. The stranger is the representation of God, and I think you can tie that. To the tumbleweed, as God appeared to Moses as a burning bush. I think there's some very, I don't know, Talmudic sort of tropes being used with the stranger.
I wonder if the Coen brothers have any commentary on that.
Oh, I'm sure.
With the symbolism in this movie.
I don't know. Do you think, are they explainers or are they like leave it to the audience people?
I think they're leave it to the audience people.
Yeah.
Because I've looked around and not found any explanations.
Yeah. That's my take. And when we get to the end, his final narration, I'll point some stuff out there.
Okay.
But I like their little exchange, because he says to the dude, he's like, I like your style, dude. And he says, I dig your style too, man. You got a whole cowboy thing going. And his word of wisdom is like, sometimes you eat the bar and sometimes the bar eats you. And I don't think the internet understands what this means.
Okay.
Because bar is country talk for bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's clear to me instantly. But like,
we're from the Northwest, we do have, hillbillies. And stuff.
We do. And we have like, we are from the West.
Yeah.
And we have the Western tropes. Yeah. It's like that Davy Crockett. He killed himself a bar when he was only 3. It's like,
yeah.
Bar means
Does
bear.
the internet not know that?
Yeah, there's a lot of, what does it mean? Sometimes you eat the bar and sometimes the bar eats you. And it's like, it's just a funny way of saying
yeah, he's just cowboy.
He's just talking cowboy talk. And the stranger thinks the dude shouldn't swear so much. And the dude's just like, what the fuck are you talking about, man?
There's 281 fucks in this movie.
Yeah. Have it your way, dude. The stranger leaves, and inexplicably Maud calls on the bowling alley phone.
Somehow she knows. She's a stalker.
Yeah, she knows where he goes.
She's into the dude.
Yes, that is true.
And then the dude goes to Maud's place, and her friend is there, who's a famous visual artist or whatever, video artist.
Yeah.
That guy is a shitbird. He just sits there like cackling.
Yeah, Knox Harrington, played by Professor Lupin, David Lewis. I love this actor, but Knox Harrington is an asshole.
Yeah, this character is so annoying.
You want a drink? And he's like, yeah, White Russian. He says, the bar's over there. Rude.
Yeah, that's lame.
You just go, the bar's over there. You start with that. You don't give the impression you're going to pour someone a drink.
Yeah, I mean, you could say something like, if you want a drink, there's a bar over there, have at it.
Yeah.
You could say something, but you don't pretend like you're going to make the drink and then don't.
It's the most dickish way to do it.
Yeah.
And so Maud comes in and we get a little more background from Maud. She thinks maybe she even introduced Uli to Bunny somehow. And Uli was in this Kraftwerk-esque band called Autobahn.
Yes. I love that album cover.
Oh, it looks totally like the first Kraftwerk album or the second one. Like it looks just like it. And Flea and Torsten are the other 2 members of Autobahn.
Yeah.
And she's insistent on the dude getting examined by the doctor.
Did you go to the doctor? He's like, no, I'm fine. She's like, no, you have to go to the doctor.
She says, I don't want to be responsible for any, what did she call it, like late side effects or something like that. And then finally kind of pushes the dude to go. And it's a very thorough examination, like a full physical, which seems a little weird for just getting punched in the face.
Yeah, and so like when the dude he goes to the doctor, then he drives away. It's nice that he still has his CCR, like because that's good. And then you notice there's this Volkswagen that's following him.
Yeah,
and there's this and the dude crashes his car.
Yeah, he's smoking a joint and drinking a beer while driving down the street.
Like you do.
Yeah, and he tries to flick his joint out the window, but the window's up. And it lands in his lap, and he kind of has a little freak out.
Yeah,
which is what leads to him crashing the car. But after he crashes the car is when he discovers a clue. There is a social studies paper with a D grade on it about the Louisiana Purchase stuffed into the seat of his car,
and it's signed Larry Sellers. And so then we go and attend the landlord's dance performance.
Yep.
And inexplicably, Donnie and Walter are there.
I don't think it's inexplicable. I think it's just everyone is supportive friends. And so everyone comes. Walter's in a suit. Like they all treat this like kind of very silly and very bad I don't know what this dance performance, like how you quantify these things. Mm-hmm. They treat it as though this is something, that you wear a suit to. But Walter has done some digging on this kid, and he has all the vital information about where he lives and who his father was. He was the head writer on a TV series called Branded. That's a real show. And after the performance, they're going to go impress the kid and get the money.
Yeah. And so they go there, they go to the kid's house, and they notice there's a Corvette parked out front with like new papers in the window. Like, this is a brand new Corvette. And they're like, yeah, look, he's already started spending it.
Yeah.
And they go in there and they kind of scam their way past the mom, and they see the dad's in an iron lung in the back.
Yeah, I don't think it's the mom. It's
Is it the
housekeeper?
Is it housekeeper lady?
Yeah, or caregiver.
And they start interrogating young Larry Sellers about the money and all of that. And this kid, he is not a sharp tack.
Well, and just total stonewall, like blank face. He doesn't give them anything. He stole that car. I think we're pretty confident that happened. But he doesn't give anything. And Walter, blows his stack as he does.
Says, "You are entering a world of pain. We're gonna cut your dick off."
And he goes outside and gets a crowbar and starts working the Corvette, just bashing out the windows,
screaming, "This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass."
He says it so many times. And so
yeah, he keeps repeating that.
So John Goodman said he didn't realize at first that they had bought out the whole neighborhood to shoot the scene. And he felt so uncomfortable going out and yelling all of that stuff in what seemed like a very quiet residential street. And he's like, I can't say this dialogue. And he had a hard time getting himself to go there, because he was just thinking that everyone in this neighborhood is hearing him out there saying this over and over again about fucking a stranger in the ass.
Well, and then as he's almost done, the car's actual owner, the neighbor, comes out and is like, "What?
Just got that car."
And he takes the crowbar and starts fucking up the dude's car.
Oh, man. So I have tears in my eyes just thinking about this, because it's like, it's so funny. It's like, "You fuck my car. You kill my car. I'll kill your car. I just got that car." And he starts bashing out the dude's car's windows, and the dude's like, "Hey, that's not even his car." Donnie runs off,
of course,
because Donnie's been excited because they were going to go close to the
In-N-Out. That's the only reason Donnie came, was he wanted In-N-Out.
Yeah, they were going close to the In-N-Out burger, so he wanted to go to get burgers. And he runs off when this guy starts killing the car. And he bashes out the windshield, and Walter's backpedaling, and the whole thing is amazing. Cut to them cruising down the street. They do have the In-N-Out burger.
The In-N-Out burgers,
but they don't have a front windshield.
And the dude is really pissed.
Yeah,
because Walter fucked that whole scene up.
The whole thing, one of the video essays I watched said that the dude strives to live his life without stress, routine, or responsibilities. And since
those are things that you hate.
Yeah, I know. Those are my goals too. This whole thing has been nothing but stress ever since the Jackie Treehorns guys came into his apartment. He's had nothing but stress and responsibilities. And yeah, the dude's not happy. This is not his happy place.
Yeah, and so Walter does eventually call and apologizes to the dude. You hear the answering machine.
Yeah.
Walter's sorry. He really is.
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, the car made it home. You're calling me at home." Yeah, and the dude's burglar proofing his apartment.
Yeah, he's nailing a board to the floor so he can use a chair to block the door, and the door opens out.
Yeah, the door opens out.
It doesn't work.
And then the original two thugs show up.
Treehorns thugs.
Treehorns thugs, yeah. And they know, we know who you are this time, Lebowski. And they're taking him to see Jackie Treehorn, adult entertainment publisher. And he's a very Hugh Hefner type dude.
Yeah, there's like this beach party, and they're bouncing a blanket with a topless lady, and there's a bonfire, and there's volleyball. And this place is really, it's really extra. It's really crazy.
That's Malibu, man.
Is it?
Yeah, Malibu. It's a pretty cool place to live if you can afford it. I think it's like that. And the dude is pretty impressed with Jackie Treehorn's luxury pad up there in the hills of Malibu. And Jackie Treehorn seems fairly cool, and he doesn't really care about whatever the dude has going with Lebowski and Maude and anyone else. He just wants the money that Jackie's owes him.
Or that
or
Bunny.
not Jackie. Bunny, yeah. Bunny owes him. And
it's funny because he goes over and he answers the phone, and he writes something down, and then he says, "Oh, I gotta go." And then the dude goes over there and uses the side of a pencil and I guess like
does a rubbing.
Yeah. And he gets the thing, and Jackie Treehorn doodled a dude with a boner. That was the note he wrote down.
Oh, I love that so much. And he comes back in. The dude runs back to his seat, and he's trying to play it cool. Jackie brings him another White Russian, and kind of puts the press on the dude. And the dude tells him about the kid. Right? He's like, "Oh, this 15-year-old kid has your money.
Larry Sellers has it."
But then the dude starts to realize, like, that was a hell of a Caucasian, Jackie. Like, he's realizing he
got roofied.
Yeah, Jackie drugged him. And then we have what the Coens call a Kafka break. All of their scripts have a surrealist interlude at some point. And the one for this movie is Jackie Treehorn presents Gutter
Balls, yeah.
Yeah. It's a whole Busby Berkeley-esque musical number set to Just Dropped In to See What Condition My Condition Was In by Kenny Rogers in the first edition.
Oh, man.
It's amazing. This whole scene and this song.
The dude is dancing, and
yeah, it's like
Saddam Hussein is there.
There's all these things, like it's like Dream Logic stuff, right? So there's stuff from the Logjam and porno. Saddam Hussein from the Gulf War stuff is there, but he's the guy at the bowling alley, like
spraying the shoes.
Maude Lebowski's there, kind of dressed like Brunhilde from a Wagner opera, but with a bowling ball breastplate on her armor.
Yeah.
And just this whole thing, I love it. I love this whole sequence. But it kind of turns into a bad trip.
Because the nihilists invade the dream.
Yeah, with
and
their
he's
big
gonna
shears.
lose his Johnson.
They're chasing it with these giant shears, and he comes to running down the streets in Malibu, and he gets picked up by the cops.
Yeah, and the only ID he has is his Ralph's card.
I love that when the sheriff opens his wallet, he has his Ralph's Club card and the Jackie Treehorn drawing of the guy with the big dick.
Yeah, that was really funny.
And the sheriff just, like, he's such a dick. He just hates the dude. And he hates this kind of guy.
Yeah.
And he beans him in the head with his coffee mug. And it's like this awkward throw. It looks so real. And the dude's like, "Ow, you fucking fascist." He's like, "Stay the fuck out of Malibu, Lebowski."
This just feels realistic.
It really does. It's I mean, this is like the premise of Rambo, right? First Blood starts an awful lot like this, where it's like the local townie sheriff wants to run the drifter out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what happens next.
So the cab ride.
And he asks the guy to change the channel because he fucking hates the Eagles.
Yeah. And the guy pulls over on the side of the road and drags him out of the cab because people feel very passionate about the Eagles. How do you feel about the Eagles?
This made me love the dude even more because I fucking hate the Eagles. Eagles fucking suck. It's the ultimate dad rock. It's the most boring shit ever.
I agree. I don't hate the Eagles.
No, if it comes on, it's just totally ignorable, but I do not like it.
I enjoy that Gypsy Kings cover of Hotel California from earlier in the film way more than like the Eagles version of the song, which is so chillaxed that it's hard to be moved by it. Like that little bit of flavor the Gypsy Kings put on it. It's the same song, but it just like the Eagles are whatever the 70s version of overproduced was.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't have...
Well, they just have way too many people in the band, and it's just... It's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. And, you know, the reason I don't like the Eagles, I really searched my soul thinking, like, why don't I like the Eagles when I was watching this movie? When I was in high school, I think, I'm like 16 years old, and I'm listening to my headphones, and I'm very antisocial, and
Right.
I have probably Metallica or Megadeth or Anthrax or something, just blasting super loud. Right. And I remember some kid sitting at the same table as me in art class, because you could listen to headphones in art class.
Yeah.
He like bugged me to like take my headphone off because he wanted to say something. And he told me, he's like, man, someday you're going to grow up and stop listening to that bullshit and listen to real music like the Eagles.
Amazing.
I am in my 40s and I still listen to that heavy ass bullshit, and I still don't like the Eagles.
Yeah.
Because I remember at the time I thought, what kind of little bitch would rather listen to the Eagles than Metallica?
The Eagles,
and this is Metallica where I'm listening to like Ride the Lightning.
Yeah.
I'm not listening to Saint Anger. That didn't exist.
It didn't exist. There was no bad Metallica.
There was no bad Metallica. There were 5 good albums.
Yeah, but the Eagles had that unplugged in the 90s, and they had a little...
That was exactly it. He was listening to that shit.
Yeah.
The Eagles Unplugged from the 90s. Oh, it's even worse than Electrified Eagles. It's ugh. Anyway, so I'm with the dude.
I'm with the dude. Creedence over the Eagles.
Oh yeah,
100%
Creedence over the Eagles always.
Yeah. I don't mind the Eagles songs, but like the Creedence songs speak to me more. Like there's something crunchy about Creedence.
John Fogerty is a soulful singer.
Yeah. But I like, not to do too. This is important to the story.
Also, Divers, you're an hour and 40 minutes deep.
Yeah.
You lasted this long.
The Eagles, I would rather listen to Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young for the same sort of vocal harmonies and stuff that the Eagles do. But there's just always someone that does it better, but there's no one that does it like in as palatable a way as the Eagles do. The Eagles are just it's so clean and it's so perfect in this way that just like turns me off.
There's a certain kind of radio songs like Hotel California or like Margaritaville or like any of those kind of songs. You know the ones I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
That stuff sucks, and people who like it also suck.
Ooh, ouch.
So
sorry, Dad.
As much as I don't tend to get along with my paternal unit, he liked good music, like Fleetwood Mac, the Moody Blues, stuff that I do think is good. Not the Eagles.
I remember your dad talking to me about CCR
he's a big CCR fan.
It was Creedence Clearwater Revisited. I don't know which members they were missing, but they were coming to the county fair. Yeah, and your dad's like, Nick, you going to see CCR at the fair?
Yeah, that sounds exactly like him, because he always was go see music at the fair.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so as the dude gets thrown out of the cab.
Yeah.
And the thing is the cabbie is a very unlikely Eagles fan. He's this big black guy who looks like he's part of like the Nation of Islam or
he's,
something.
He's wearing like a kufi. And
It's like, you do not look like an Eagles fan, but whatever. Everybody likes Eagles, I guess.
Yeah.
Except us. And then you see Bunny driving by singing Viva Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's a ZZ Top cover of Viva Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. It's a very weird version of the song, and it seems out of character for her. That's the only reason I bring that up. But we do see she's got all 10 toes.
Yeah, they go down. So she's in a convertible, and you get kind of this view down, and it shows you her feet, and both of her feet are perfectly fine in these like open toe sandals, and she's got all 10 painted green toenails.
Mm-hmm. So the dude gets back to his apartment. It's trashed. He's bummed out.
I feel bad for the dude.
It's about to look up for him, though.
That's true.
Because Maud is waiting there in his bathrobe and nothing else. And she's, love me, Jeffrey. So things turned around pretty quick.
Yeah, so the dude was at his lowest point, and then things were good, you know? And so it kind of cuts to the morning, and they're snuggling, and then he gets up and what's he doing? Making a drink or something? And she's like doing all these weird like contortions in the bed.
So like they're like, he kind of gives her like his backstory about being a member of the Seattle Seven, and he is the author of the Port Huron Statement. And the guy that inspired the dude was an actual member of the Seattle Seven.
Yeah.
Who are like the Seattle Liberation Front. They're anti-war protesters. And I found this whole thing interesting. And he gets up, he finishes his joint, he gets up to make a drink, and like you said, she starts doing like kind of yoga poses, right? Like she's doing like happy baby pose, and the dude's like, what is that, yoga? And she goes, it helps with conception, and he like spits his white Russian out.
The first time he's like, what?
Yeah, he's mildly freaked out, but when she explains the deal that she's not looking for a partner, the whole reason she selected him was because he's not someone she's likely to run into in social circles, and is not someone that's going to want to have an influence.
Someone who absolutely wants no part of it.
Yeah. And then the dude becomes fine with it.
Like, oh, okay, yeah, you can have that.
The big takeaway here, though, besides Maud trying to get knocked up, is that she kind of gives more background on her dad and how, he's really a failed businessman, and she pays him an allowance, and
of which clearly he's giving Bunny a piece of, so he can have a trophy wife to keep up appearances.
Right, which is why he needed to embezzle money from the foundation to get money to pay the ransom. And the light bulb goes off for the dude. Like, he has his epiphany.
Like, there was a ringer, and then another ringer.
Yeah.
They never gave him money. They gave him a fake suitcase.
He's like, my thinking about this has been too uptight. And so he calls Walter, and Walter, it's the Shabbos, and so Walter doesn't.
It's Saturday.
He does not want to drive unless it's an emergency, but the dude presses him.
Well, the dude threatens to quit the bowling team.
And that's an emergency for
Walter. That
Walter.
is an emergency.
Yeah. And when the dude goes out to wait for Walter, the blue Volkswagen is there.
And the dude, being chill almost all the time, he goes and confronts the guy in the Volkswagen.
Right.
And the guy gets out of the Volkswagen and is like, whoa. Like, I'm a PI also.
Yeah, I'm a brother Seamus. He says, like an Irish monk? And he's like, no, I'm a private dick like you. And it's our dude from The Crow.
Yeah, it's the pawn shopper owner. What is that guy's name? Like Dominic or something?
John Polito.
And I meant the pawn shop owner. But
Gideon.
Yeah,
Gideon's pawn shop.
Oh man, that guy's a great actor.
He always shows up to play
such
these
a good
scumbags.
Character actor. I don't know. I don't think that this PI is a scumbag.
No,
he's actually seems pretty honest.
I think kind of all PIs are scumbags, though.
Do you?
Right? Like, that's kind of the deal. They're snoops.
Okay,
and
maybe
sneaks.
this guy seems all right to me.
Well,
He's working for the Knutsons, Bunny's parents, who are trying to track her down.
Understandably, their daughter has run off and married a supposed billionaire, and they have no idea where she is.
Yeah, she just disappeared. So they're just doing what they got to do. And he says, I got this picture that the Knutson sent me with to show her so she would miss home. And it's just a barn on a plane.
Yeah, he's like, what is the dude? He's like, how you ever get her to come home after she's met Carl Hungus? Oh man, yeah. Anyways, he tells the brother Seamus to stay away from his lady friend.
Yes.
and Walter shows up, and we get a little interlude of the nihilists having breakfast for dinner. They're
at the
having
diner.
lingonberry pancakes.
Mm-hmm. Man, I love me some lingonberry pancakes. That's
for
good.
real. This made me nostalgic for diners. We used to hang out in diners a lot.
Yeah, when we were teenagers.
I never do that anymore. And then
we should do that. We should get our wives and go to a diner.
Have some pancakes.
Yeah, heck yeah, lingonberry pancakes.
Ooh, we have to look ahead to see who has lingonberries.
Yeah,
I don't want boysenberry pancakes.
Nothing wrong with boysenberry.
Yeah, but they're not lingonberries. But there is a girl nihilist played by Amy Mann. And she's missing a toe.
Yeah, she has a bandaged up foot that's in a cowboy boot that has the toe cut off of it.
That's very 90s.
Yeah, like makeshift sandals.
I made my boots into sandals. Yeah, there was I remember there was a thing on MTV where someone on fashion television where someone was sawing the toes off of boots.
Yeah, hell with that. Boots are cool. Sandals are not.
I don't know. The dude would differ with.
Well, and soon I'm gonna get a tattoo on my foot, so I'm gonna need.
You have to start wearing.
I'm
gonna
need to get something to show it off.
Some Birks.
Oh god.
Put it in between the two straps. Place the tattoo.
Yeah, I'll wear them to the appointment.
It was like I want to get this spot.
No, Tevas.
Ooh, Tevas are pretty dude-ish, but
also disc golfish. I could disc golf in Tevas.
That is very of the culture for the disc golf.
Yeah, for sure.
So is Dave Matthews Band. So don't.
I don't hate Dave Matthews.
Boy, you hate the Eagles and you don't hate Dave Matthews?
Okay, divers. If you hate Dave Matthews and you've been thinking negatively about him, like I have, go on YouTube and Google Dave Matthews Tiny Desk Concert. The NPR series where they have people do like a small, like unplugged set or whatever.
Right.
Watch the Dave Matthews Tiny Desk.
Huh.
The man is intensely talented.
No, there's no doubt.
And he's really charismatic too. He's very likable.
That's so I know a lot of, I don't know, what do you call those people? Like the Dave Matthews people.
Whatever they are.
Yeah. The people with the DMB sticker on there and the Dancing Man sticker on the back of their Volvo or whatever. And they camp out at the gorge for 3 days to see him play all 3 nights or whatever.
Yeah.
I think the culture's cool. And cool,
I think cool is a wrong word.
It's the wrong word.
It's interesting.
I admire the dedication and like the way they trade bootlegs with each other. And like, I admire their sense of community. I can't imagine 3 nights of listening to that music.
Just go watch that Tiny Desk.
Okay. Maybe. Anyways.
You go down a Tiny Desk rabbit hole. There's some really good ones.
There are some good Tiny Desk concerts.
Adele is the best one, honestly. It's the best Tiny Desk of all of them. But Dave Matthews pretty good. The Cranberries, that might be right up there with Adele for the best ones.
R.I.P.
Yeah,
Dolores O'Riordan.
She has such a naturally pure voice. Anyways, we're digressing.
Yeah,
I'm a lover of music. What can I say?
Yeah, that makes me sad. The dude tells Walter he's cracked it. Like basically the dude has the whole thing figured out. And Walter just is like, I don't understand how this is important enough for me to have to break Shabbos.
And the dude basically straight up says, you converted for your ex-wife.
Yeah.
You were not a Jew before her, and now she's gone, and you still are. And I love Walter's response. He's like, you don't join a religion and then quit.
Yeah. And he's like, you're living in the past, man. And he's like, 3,000 years of history. He's like, from Moses, it was some like a football coach or someone. Like, he's like, you're damn right, I'm living in the past. Yeah, this movie, the dialogue's amazing. They get to Lebowski's mansion, and Bunny's convertible is like crashed into the fountain.
Yeah,
there, and they come in and we see the evidence. She came in and immediately stripped nude and went to the pool because Brandt is like, picking up her clothes.
Yeah.
And this is the who is this man, dude?
Who am I? I'm a fucking veteran.
Yeah. And he's like, don't go in there, dude. He's very upset. And they kind of storm into Lebowski's office.
Mm-hmm.
And they lay the whole thing out, and the Big Lebowski is like, well, you have your story and I have mine. You say that, I say you stole the money.
And I love how Walter's like, he's a fake. He's a piece of shit. I've seen a lot of spinals in my day.
Yeah. Right. And he's also is like, as if we would ever deign to keep your dirty money. As though this whole thing wasn't, preceded by Walter trying to steal that guy's money.
And I love how he goes over and he picks up Lebowski out of the wheelchair and dumps him on the ground. He wasn't faking it.
Oh, it's so...
it's peak Walter.
It is, and it's so beautifully cringe.
Yeah.
Like, because, it's very much like... I think it probably inspired the scene in Big Mouth Valentine's Day special when they pull Lars out of the wheelchair and throw him on the floor. It's like very much that same thing. Everyone knows this guy really is paralyzed, but Walter's just hopped up.
Yeah.
And John Goodman's such a big bear of a man, and he just flops him onto the ground.
Oh, I love Goodman, especially in The Righteous Gemstones. Man, Goodman's
the Maniac
amazing. Kid. Oh,
yeah.
That show's amazing. John Goodman's amazing.
Yeah, and there's a moment, not to go too down that rabbit hole, where he puts on the yellow sunglasses in The Righteous Gemstones, and I was like, "Oh, that's got to be on purpose." There's no way
that's Walter
that they didn't do this without Lebowski in mind.
Well, yeah, I mean, Danny McBride's definitely a fan.
Oh yeah, definitely. So the dude rolls with it, and he's like, "Help me get him back in his chair." And then it cuts to the bowling alley. You always go bowling after you do everything.
You got to decompress. And Donnie's there, and he's got a different name on his shirt. It says like Austin.
No,
what's it say?
It says Johnson.
Johnson. Oh, that's
important.
Good.
And the other thing that's important is Donnie, who has just been rolling strikes every time we've seen him up until now. He finally has his bad set.
Yeah, he's missing.
His luck is over.
Yeah, and I love how Walter, Walter's telling stories about Nam.
He comparing it to the Gulf War. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the man in the black pajamas, the noble adversary.
And then Jesus shows up confronts Walter about saying he won't roll on the Shabbos, but here he is.
Oh yeah,
he's
like fucking head games, man. Oh, I'd fuck you on Saturday and I'll fuck you on Wednesday.
The creep can roll.
The creep can roll, and they go outside, and the dude's car is on fire. Mm-hmm. The nihilists are standing there. We want the money, Lebowski. And Donnie's like, "Are these the Nazis, Walter?" He's like, "No, these men are nihilists. Nihilists, Donnie. They're nothing to be afraid of."
I like how Walter fucks.
Yeah.
He's just down.
in a way, this moment is what Walter's been waiting for through the whole movie.
Yeah, for sure.
And Walter, in his own way, shines in this moment too.
Yeah,
because the Carl Hungus, Uli, he's there with his buddies, and he's demanding the money, and the dude explains it. It's like there never was any money.
And they go off and confer.
Yeah, and they're upset because his girlfriend, she cut off her toe because they thought we'd get $1 million. She's very upset, and they're like, just give us whatever money you have.
And Donnie and the dude are gonna do it.
Yeah, they got like $22 between the two of them. And
I love Walter's like, what's mine is mine.
Yeah,
he draws a line in the sand,
and Uli like pulls a sword out, and Walter wings the bowling ball at Flea, gets him in the gonads, and just takes him out immediately. And then gets into like a scrap with Carl Hungus and bites his ear off. While the dude tussles with number 3 over there, just sort of like they're like slapping at each other.
They're the worst fighters ever.
And this whole thing is all very hilarious. Until Donnie drops dead of a heart attack.
Yeah, he falls on the ground. He's having a heart attack.
Yeah, the dude thinks he's been shot, but there was no shots fired. It's just a heart attack. And big bummer, man.
And it kind of cuts to Walter and the dude going to the funeral home to pick up Donnie's remains, and he's been cremated.
Yeah,
and it turns out the urn that the remains are in is $180.
Yeah,
and Walter's having none of it.
This whole scene is great because it's like they're like, I assume this will be credit card, and they hand it over, and the dude does the pretend to reach for it while he's waiting for Walter to take it.
Yeah. Oh,
and that's just so beautifully acted. And then Walter like takes his glasses down and reads it, and then disputes the $180 charge. And we're scattering the ashes. We don't need the urn. Like, and he's livid about that. And so they go to Ralph's and get a can of coffee.
Yeah, they're like, you have to have something to transport them in. And so they go to Ralph's and they get a coffee can and they put the ashes in there. And I love, they go to the bluffs, a beautiful cliff overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Walter delivers this perfect eulogy that then transitions into a diatribe about Vietnam.
He was like, you took him, Lord. Just like you took so many of the young men before their time.
It was like, it was just so good. And then he like scatters the ashes into the wind, and they just cover the dude. Just they blow back and just right over the dude.
Yeah, his sunglasses are frosted,
and his face is all white.
Yeah.
And the dude is pissed at Walter.
Yeah, and they have a little blow up, but then they hug it out.
Yeah.
And Walter, as with everything, he's like, fuck it, dude, let's go bowling.
Yeah, let's go bowling. And yeah, those two dudes, they don't have Donnie anymore. They don't have a bowling team.
You're right. They're coming up on the semis. They need a third for their team.
Yeah.
But it's all tough. Yeah,
I'm sure Maud could arrange something. She's a resourceful lady.
I wouldn't be surprised if they end up with Carl Hungus or someone else.
One of those nihilists.
That's the way these things are going. Yeah, so they're back at the bowling alley. Townes Van Zandt, Dead Flowers is playing, and the stranger drops in for the final time to check in on the dude. And the dude, he drops his big dudism. The dude abides.
The dude abides. Yeah, that is the biggest dudism of them all.
Yeah, because he's like, some gutter balls, some strikes. Like, the dude, he's just rolling with it. There's ups and downs, and that's life. And the stranger kind of lays things out. He he's sad about Donnie, but he knows there's a little Lebowski on the way.
Mm-hmm.
And he drops this line about how it makes him feel good to know the dude is out there taking it easy for the rest of us sinners. And so that's where I get into the Jewish tradition, the Lamed Vav Tzadikim, the 36 righteous ones, who are at any given time, there's always 36 righteous men walking the earth for the sake of the other sinners out there.
Interesting.
And I think that is what the dude is supposed to represent. That's why I think the stranger is God, and the dude is one of these righteous men. Is the idea of the film.
Okay, that's really cool. I mean, I love this outro with Sam Elliott, and I just like how it ends kind of like it began, like the dude just going through his life doing what he does, you know?
Yeah, nice bookends. This movie's a delight. So, what worked for you?
I think the dialogue is great. It's just witty and quick. It's so good. I love listening to this. I think this dialogue, this is what Kevin Smith was hoping to write with Clerks.
Right, he wishes that he wrote dialogue that's good.
Yeah, this is great. And then I think the casting is amazing. I liked literally every character in this movie. I think John Goodman just really crushes this movie. He's so good. He's overwhelmingly good. And I think that the pacing is actually super good for a fairly long movie, almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
The pacing is great. It never feels boring. You're always moving somewhere. You always have these really cool scenes where you're looking at interesting things.
Right.
I feel like this movie was just edited super smartly. And this is just high quality filmmaking. I like a lot of things about it. So what about you? What were for you?
I'll echo a lot of the things you said. The amazing ensemble cast and all of their colorful characters is my first thing. This is just, I mean, everyone in this movie is a movie star practically, or at least like a well-known character actor.
Yeah.
And everyone's doing like their best work. It's just awesome. And the brilliant writing and this super complex plot with all of its quotable dialogue. That's very much the same thing you were saying. It's a very, very tangled web that this story weaves, and it mostly everything kind of plays out the way it should. Like everything leads to something.
Yeah, it's all interesting, you know.
Yeah,
there's no throwaway scenes.
Right. And then finally, Roger Deakins' cinematography. That guy can fucking shoot a movie. You know, it's so many other things he's done. Like Blade Runner comes not the original Blade Runner, the 2049. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Deakins has shot like a million great movies, and this is just one of them. But it is a just gorgeous film. What didn't work for you?
I was really searching for things, and I think there's a couple of predictable things that I'll say. I didn't really like the dream sequence parts, the parts where he's flying through the city, and the Gutterballs movie thing. I just think that those were just extra. It was really just, this is very like, this is sort of thing that people who are really into community theater are super into. Like, it's super extra. I don't tend to like musicals very much.
Yeah,
so
you're on the record.
It was forgivable. I liked it, and I saw a lot of the fun plot things kind of revealed in the thing. But I could have cut those scenes if I were to say that there was anything that didn't work. Okay. How about you? What didn't work for you?
I think, and I also was kind of stretching to find something that didn't work. For all its complexity, there is stuff that's completely unnecessary to the overall movie. Like, say, the Jesus, who we all talk about. He's like one of the most memorable moments in the movie, but he has absolutely nothing to do with the plot. He has the least to do with the plot out of anything in the whole movie.
Yeah, you could have cut all of his scenes and it wouldn't have changed the movie.
Yeah, so that is I guess it's a similar sentiment to what you're saying, is that there is some stuff, even if it's all great, not all of it is necessary and doesn't necessarily advance the story at all. I guess that brings us to our rating.
So I guess I'll go first. I'm going to go ahead and say that, first of all, I think that before I give my rating, I think that this necessarily has to have a plus on it because it was literally inducted into the Library of Congress for having a for being culturally significant.
Yeah.
So I think that's formally a plus.
Yeah, totally.
And
that's
so
that's what the plus indicates.
Yeah, and
cultural
so
significance.
I think it's almost perfect. So if I was giving it, if we were doing fractions, it'd be 4.5, but we don't. So I'm giving it a 4+.
Oh, 4+. So you're not going to round up to the 5.
I don't round. I look at them as thresholds. If you get a 4.9, you're a 4, not a 5. Because I think it's a threshold. Either you made it or you didn't. A perfect movie's perfect.
Yeah.
This isn't quite perfect. It's almost perfect. That's just how I look at it.
Yeah, I've struggled with this too, and I think part of the reason why is I think 4 is getting really crowded.
It is. We say a lot of force. This is such a great movie too.
Yeah, and there's I don't know. You say, I think we said the Falcon and Winter Soldier was a 4, and then if I'm going to say this is a 4, that doesn't seem right. This is, and that's apples to oranges because it's a TV show. But just the first thing that came to mind. This is better than that. It didn't hit what I imagined my threshold for a 5 being. Mm-hmm. But 4 doesn't seem like enough. So maybe the plus does do that because it's so culturally significant. The plus matters.
Perhaps.
It's a very high 4.
Yeah,
it's kind of what I come down to.
This is a really important movie. I think it's really good. And so I'm going to stick with my 4+, but I think it's a tight one. It's hard to decide this one. This is definitely, I would say
it's on that. It's real cuspy. It's like a 4.25. Like it's one of those things where it's like it's
almost
you have to call it a 5.
Probably one of my top 10 movies, so it's hard. But, it's what it is.
You gave 5s to
The Crow.
The Crow and
Dune.
Dune I agree with, but I think this is a far better movie than The Crow.
Do you?
Or Interview with the Vampire.
You think this is better than Interview with the Vampire?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. A lot.
A lot?
Well, I mean, a lot. A lot.
Because Interview with the Vampire it's an amazing movie. This is...
So is this?
This is an amazing... You still haven't rated it. It locked in your vote. Does this warrant a 5? You've only given out a few 5s. You gave out one to Evangelion, and you gave one out to Dune. You gave one out to Black Sabbath Paranoid, but that's not a movie.
That's true. I got it. Actually, you know what? I think by my standards, I think you and I rate this movie the same way. Mm-hmm. But by my personal standards, I tend to push that 4.5. You push it over the line. I round up instead of round down.
Okay.
If you cross that halfway mark. And I have just, all week long, I've been kind of playing the soundtrack to this. And every single song, I think about scenes in the movie. And I'm driving in the car. I say the dialogue out loud. I laugh thinking about the movie just from listening to the music. Mm-hmm. And I just think it's just a superb film, and it inspired a religion. I think I can give it that 5th star.
Yeah, you've almost got me convinced, because looking at my other 5s and my other 4s, I do think this is better than most of the other things I gave a 4. Like I gave The Green Knight and Evangelion 4s. I gave Falcon and Winter Soldier 4. I've given I gave The Old Guard a 4, which is a really good movie.
Yeah,
but I think
those are 4s.
I think this is better than those, so I got to give it a 5. I think I'm gonna change it.
I talked you up.
I think this is our second double 5 movie, but that's
not controversial.
This one's important because this is a retro movie. This is like 20-year-old movie.
No.
20, is it 30?
Oh,
Yeah, it's 98, so it's 24 years old.
yeah.
I think the only other double 5 we had was a modern day super blockbuster that's got 1 million Oscar nominations.
All
right. So that's interesting. Are you going 5+? I think it has to have a plus.
Yeah, I don't think the plus is just sort of an indicator of significance and not really a piece of the rating.
Yeah.
And I think there's no denying the cultural significance of this movie. So it definitely warrants a plus.
One of my favorite movies. It's in the comedy genre. It might be my favorite comedy. It's just so good. All right, so let's go ahead and take a break, and then we will come back with our closing segment.
Okay, welcome back, divers. It's the time for the final segment, the one where I ask Dave, what are you into right now?
All right, I don't have a ton that I've been into right now. The only thing I've been doing that isn't my normal work and school stuff is I made myself a brand new shield.
Oh, I saw that.
It was cut out. I had an aluminum blank cut out by a friend of mine, and I had to put the steel boss on it, which is a lot more work than you might think. Because it's a curved shield and a flat tempered steel boss, so I had to bend it. I was using a vise and a hammer and a lot of stuff to get it to bend to match the curve of the shield. It took me a solid 3 hours, and my arms were sore the next day.
Yeah, steel doesn't want to bend. That's part of one of its key properties.
Yeah, and so I put it on there, and I took a rattan stave, and I carved out a handle, and I riveted it all together in the old school way, and then I painted it all up and put my heraldry on there, and then I edged it up, and I fought with it. So it's a new style. It's a center gripped heater shield as opposed to a arm strapped heater, which you're probably used to, or a center gripped round, which I used to fight with. So it's kind of a hybrid, and it's really cool. It's really light because it's made out of aluminum. That's about it. Nothing crazy fancy.
That's not really the spirit of this segment. You're supposed to kind of give a recommendation about something.
Oh, okay.
Unless someone's going to get up into armored fighting.
So if you're getting into armored fighting, divers, I'm going to go ahead and suggest that you do use a center grip shield. Okay. First of all, if you use an arm strap shield, you're going to have a hard time quickly moving it up and down because your arm feels rooted. You're going to try to do these awkward robot-like moves where you're kind of like bending at the elbow and the shoulder, and it's going to feel really weird. But with a center grip shield, it's just like if you were having a catcher, like a baseball mitt in your left hand. Mm-hmm. You may think, I'm not good with my left hand, but it's easy. You just move your left hand in the general direction of the thing that's flying at you, and it gets blocked. It's that easy. So if you are getting into medieval combat, center grip shield, 100%. Round is the easiest because it's equidistant from your hand to the edge, no matter what direction you are. So you don't actually have to learn any special techniques for using your corners effectively, which is a little more advanced. But I don't think there's a lot of divers getting into armored combat. If you're interested, though, go to sca.org. That's the place to go. You're going to find your local chapter. You can look it up and you can sort it out. Every local group has loaner armor, so you can come out. They'll put you in a kit and they'll let you fight some people. And those people will probably not beat you up too much.
Yeah, because they want you to come back. Yeah. You know what's weird is that weird non sequitur. What are you into right now? Is relevant to mine in a way.
Wow.
Because what I'm into right now
armored combat?
Sort of. Finally, after I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years, however long it's been, I got a PS5.
Oh, shit. You didn't tell me about that.
Yes, I got a PS5. Diver Corey gave me the hot tip that Walmart Plus was going to have a drop of PS5s. So I signed up for Walmart Plus.
Oh, snap.
And yeah,
Evil Empire.
Evil Empire. It's not like they're more evil than Amazon.
No, it's the same.
Who we already commit Amazon. So it's now I'm Amazon Plus and Walmart Plus.
Oh, damn.
And so that got me a PS5. And then when you're already ordering a PS5, Assassin's Creed Valhalla from Ubisoft was half off. So I ordered that game. It's the 12th installment of the Assassin's Creed franchise. It's principally set in the years in between 872 and 878 AD. And it's a story during Viking expansion into the British Isles. Mm-hmm. And you play Eivor Varinsdottir, a Viking raider in... I'm, raiding Saxons all the time. That's what I'd be doing right now if I wasn't here doing this.
So how's the combat on that game?
It's pretty good. And I have thoughts about your shield because I fucking hate Saxons with tower shields because they're just like, they stonewall me so good. Like,
that's what shields are for.
Lots, your average Vikings and Berserkers and even most of the Saxons. I two-hand it with a warhammer and a bearded axe, and I'm a head chopping fool against most people. But if you have a tower shield, it's clang, clang. I can't get anywhere on those guys. So, yeah. You're onto something with the center grip shield. They use it to great effect against me.
Oh yeah, I don't feel endangered at all by a dual wield person.
You're like, nope, behind my shield. Yeah, but I have not played any of the Assassin's Creed games before. So this is my first time in. And I gather that this sort of open world RPG is not the standard for this series. It hasn't always been that way. It's much more like Skyrim-esque for my frame of reference. Maybe I'll
pick it up then.
It's pretty fun. There's a lot of grinding. I'm still very low level. Like there's a lot of stuff that's
maybe I won't
above. I don't know if you like just raiding English monasteries and
who doesn't?
It's surprisingly fun.
There are guys with treasure and they don't like to fight.
Yeah, but there is Saxon soldiers that guard them.
Okay.
The monks basically, and you're not supposed to kill civilians.
Oh, okay.
You can. I have, but you're not supposed to. But you can kill soldiers with impunity.
All right, that sounds perfect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's all I got. You want to give them the call to action?
Subscribe to us on your favorite podcatcher, as well as YouTube, Spotify, and Audible. Don't forget to leave us a review. A 5-star review costs you nothing, but means everything to us.
New episodes of Nick and Dave Deep Dive the Metaverse drop the 1st and 15th of every month, and you can find us on all social media platforms across the Metaverse as Deep Dive the Meta. Dave likes Twitter, I like Instagram, but we're also on Pinterest, which nobody likes.
Well, I guess this is really goodbye.
Don't say goodbye. Say good journey.